Welcome to Renew, the show about the College of Forest Resources. The College of Forest Resources enables the conservation and management and use of our natural resources. I'm your special guest host today, Karen Brazier, and with me we have a scientist from the Department of Forestry, Dr. Bruno Da Silva. Welcome.
Thank you.
So Dr. Da Silva, tell me a little bit about what you do as a forest economist.
I am an assistant professor here at Mississippi State University. I started last year. My focus is forest management and economics. So what I'm trying to look at is the trade-offs between market actions and ecological effects in the forests.
Okay. So I know you're building a model to help predict timber supply. Is that right?
Yeah, that's right. So we are using a large-scale model. When I say large-scale, is a southwise areas. So we break down the U.S. South in different areas, and from there we try to estimate it what's going to happen if there is external shocks in the market. And by external shocks, I mean when we have a new mill in the market, there will be an increase in demand. Mm-hmm. Once you increase demand, we have to provide more timber for this mill, and so price tends to increase. And our question is how much the price will increase, how much timber we have to have on the ground to supply this new mill. Okay. So we are using data from the Forest Service, mm-hmm. and this project is a partnership with different universities and also institutions. One is the Forest Service is helping us with the data and also the model. North Carolina State University is also helping us, and it's funding by the International Paper in a program that they have for young scientists.
Okay. Mm-hmm. So you mentioned North Carolina State, and I failed to ask you how you got to Mississippi State, and I know it was by way of North Carolina State, so can you tell us a little bit about your background?
So I'm originally from Brazil. I did my bachelor in forestry in the south of Brazil, in the state of Paraná, and then I moved up to the state of São Paulo, where I did my master's, University of São Paulo. Then I worked a little bit in the industry as a consultant for 3 years, more or less, and then I moved to North Carolina in Raleigh to do my PhD at NC State.
Okay, so when you were working in Brazil, are there forests similar to what you would see here in the South?
It's quite similar. The plantation side of the forest is very similar. Actually, we use the similar species. We use eucalyptus in areas where it's warmer than here, mm-hmm. but in areas where it's similar weather, we use pine, lovely pine, which is exactly the same species.
Same species of what we see. Yeah, on Mississippi roads, right?
Yeah, exactly. Forest. And I remember in my university in Brazil, when I was in the college, we used to receive some American students there, uh-huh. and they would look at the pine plantations and say, "Oh, this reminds me home."
Oh, really? Okay, yeah. So it didn't really feel different from Brazil for you either.
No,
reminds you of home, I guess.
Yeah. The system's the same because there is a little bit warmer. So the trees, they grow faster.
Here?
There
at Brazil, okay.
Yeah, so it's more intense. Mm-hmm. For instance, we have the entire rotation there, the entire cycle in Brazil for pine would be 24 years. Okay. We have a clear cut, what they call it, so we clear cut the forest. But here is, it can go above 30 years.
Right.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So getting back to modeling timber resources, you said this would be by region. Is that right? Is it for the whole United States, or is it isolated to like the southern region?
Yeah, the focus will be in the southern regions. So, okay. For instance, Mississippi can be broken down several micro markets, what we call, mm-hmm. for instance. So it can be South Mississippi, North Mississippi. The way that we are doing is in a way where users will define what region they want to look at.
Okay.
On the background, we have the inventory data mm-hmm. by county. Mm-hmm. So users have to decide what is a region for them. And by region, I mean a market.
Okay.
So what is a market for this company? So like for instance, if an international paper is using this model and wants to see what's going to happen if they change the demand for a product, the demand for pulpwood in this case. So then it will look at the forest basis, right, and see, okay, so this group of counties will be my market, and so what happens with the timber supply here.
Okay, so the actual user can actually cross regional, or these boundaries, so to speak. Okay. You know, with COVID, we saw the spike in lumber prices, and I'm assuming that many mills shut down. So can you really predict timber supply given a lot of unknown variables?
Yes. So forecasting for the future is always hard, and the first thing that a scientist that plays with that should recognize is, well, you might get the right number is pretty much impossible to get it, but you might get the right direction.
Okay.
So events like COVID, and then it's impossible, right?
Right.
If we could predict COVID, it would not happen.
That's right. That's true. Yes. Yes.
So this is pretty much impossible. We say that this is a pretty much external shock, is a very strong shock in the market that we hope in the long term will be absorbed. So,
COVID aside, what other type of external shocks exist that would cause the timber market to, or cause the predictions maybe not to hold true?
Yeah, so one project that we are working on is hurricanes. So how hurricanes can affect the timber inventory and therefore the timber supply and the market in a certain region. So we are looking at the possible effects of hurricane in the coastal Mississippi. So that would be a very strong external shocks, because what normally happen is when a hurricane comes, there's a oversupply of timber because a lot of timber goes on the ground, and what the landowner would do is just sell this timber as soon as possible, otherwise it will rot.
Right.
And then prices would go down, but in the long term, this forest has to grow, and then there is a shortage of timber in the long term, and then prices go back up, and companies would either pay more or look at timber someplace else.
Okay. So also thinking about COVID, you know, the price of lumber has just gone through the roof, and it doesn't seem to have trickled down to the landowner yet.
Yes.
You know, and I'm not really sure who's making the money. Maybe you as an economist can tell us, is it the mill? Is it the hardware store or the lumber supply, you know, building supply type store? We know it's not the landowner, and I don't think it's the logger. So how is that money being distributed, and do you see it becoming a little bit more evenly distributed?
Right now, who is profiting for that is everybody else but the landowner. And the reason for that is pretty much the inventory, the timber inventory on the ground is just, it's a lot, there's a lot of timber on the ground right now, and mainly in the state of Mississippi. If you compare the inventory data of Mississippi to any state, here we have more timber per acre than anybody else. So imagine that you are shopping in a Walmart, and you see a product that you know there's a lot of things there. There's a lot of products there, and one of these products has a lot of quantity. And if the Walmart starts to increase this price, you most likely are going to go to other place, right? Because this product you can find very easily. So this is pretty much what's happened in the timber market. Once a mill is located in a place, if a landowner claims that they want a higher price, it's very easy to go to another landowner and negotiate his lower price, because there's a lot of timbers in the market.
Okay. And when you say timber on the ground, that's really standing timber.
Yeah, standing timber.
That's ready to be harvested.
Ready to be harvested.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And you know, the remedy against that is we have to attract more mills.
Okay.
And then they start to compete with each other, and we go back to what we call in economy a new equilibrium where supply and demand find a new price.
And do you think we're close to that equilibrium for lumber, or I'm getting you to predict a little bit? That's kind of your job, right? So
yeah,
predict
right.
for us, is the lumber market going to go down anytime soon?
So this is a little bit challenge for the lumber market to have a new mill on the ground. There are some announcements of new mills in Mississippi, for instance, for bioenergy and also for lumber. But these announcements, they happened, and it's not like, well, I'm going to build one investor will build a mill, and then next month the mill is there.
Right.
No, it
It's
takes
a little bit longer.
It's a little bit
right?
longer.
Yeah.
That would be 1 year or 2 years to have a new mill on the ground.
Right.
So we do expect to have these new mills will affect prices and will increase timber prices because we have observed in other states this happening.
Okay.
But don't expect to be next month.
Okay, great. Well, thank you so much, Dr. De Silva, and we sure do enjoy learning about your work with timber predictions and how it will affect us in the future and hopefully improve forest management. Thank you for joining us. I've been your special guest host, Karen Brazier. We hope to have Leslie Berger back next month. Until then, y'all get outside and enjoy our beautiful natural resources. Thank you.